Welcome to Tech Driven. My name's Danny, and today we're going to be talking about external sound cards. I have kind of a fun story of why I purchased this, and also give you my thoughts on this specific Sound Blaster Z. So stick around. So you might be asking yourself, why external sound cards? Why do you have one? Most motherboards nowadays, actually every motherboard nowadays comes with a built-in sound card. That's actually really good. Well, I had to. My X470 motherboard, so this is an Asus Crosshair 7 Hero, non-Wi-Fi. After I redid my water cooling loop, so I changed out all the fans to the Noctua NFA 12s. I rebent a few new hoses and cleaned the loop, cleaned the blocks, broke it all down, and then rebuilt the system, rewired the entire system, made it as neat as possible and just better for maintenance overall versus when I first built it. So kind of a V2, or you want to say maybe like a 1.5 version of the original build. Same core components, new fans, but just wiring is much tidier in the back. After I did that, the sound card just stopped working, and I have no idea why. And I think there's some weird USB issues with this motherboard now too. So I think there's something deep rooted in this motherboard that there is wrong, and it probably requires me to RMA it and get Asus to replace it under warranty. But I don't want to be without a system. I don't want to buy another motherboard. The problem is that's going to cause a lot of issues with where tubing is going to line up, where cables are lined up. So the next best thing was to buy a sound card. So trying to find a sound card was an interesting ordeal. I went to my local Memory Express, which was in Hamilton when I lived near it, and they had an Asus Zonar. I don't remember the exact model, but none of the drivers worked on my system. And I searched it up, and tons of people on the forums were complaining. There was only 2 versions of the drivers on Asus's website. So I went back to the store, returned it, said, hey, this thing doesn't work out of the box. They gave me my money back, which was great, but they had the sound card listed on their website, but they did not have it in stock in Ontario. Amazingly, over Christmas, Amazon had them in stock. And I was like, sick, okay, ordered it, got it next day, popped it in, works fantastic, super happy. Biggest disappointment with the sound card is, well, as you can see, Sound Blaster loves red. They love red so much, you can't turn the red LEDs off on the sound card. The sound card itself has a black PCB, but the shroud on it is red. It's a little too much for me, as my system's generally in this like kind of lighter blue or purple, and that doesn't match my system unless I wanted to run my system all the time in red. So the objective of today's video is to remove the LEDs. Now there's a couple ways we can do that. We can simply cover the LEDs with black electrical tape, and that would be the safest way of not voiding your warranty. Or we're gonna go the road I'm gonna go is I'm gonna cut them right off. If I had a desolderer, I would desolder them from the motherboard. That would be the least invasive way, because then if you ever wanted to add them back in for warranty reasons, you could resolder them. But what I'm about to show you will void your warranty, and if you damage your card in the process, I am not liable for this. This is only me doing this to my card after I looked at it for a second and went, yeah, I could cut these off, not a big deal. So we'll see how this goes. But no more red LEDs after today. Stick around. All right, so let's pull this sound card out, and then I'm gonna show you guys the LEDs in question. So as you can see, it is super red. Red shroud, there's a red LED here, and there's a red LED here. And then whatever, I guess that's the processor on the card, more than likely, it's also red. So I have nothing wrong with this red, because when it's in the system, it's like this, and you hardly notice it. And probably come summer, I'll powder coat that a different color. All right, so we have the sound card now just on my desk. And I'm gonna quickly show you how to dismantle it. It's fairly simple. This is not like taking apart a video card or anything, but anyways, flip it on its backside. There's 4 screws on each of the corner of the actual PCB. So once that is off, you'll see it's detached from the shroud. So the shroud is pretty cool. I do like the idea of it, as you can see. Pretty basic. And actually, with the shroud removed, I actually really like the aesthetic of the sound card. But you can see LED 1, LED 2. So I got a close-up shot now of the PCB, and you can see I raised the two LEDs. These normally are bent quite far down. I bent them out a bit. And there's a couple different ways you can take care of this. One of the methods is pulling out a pair of wire snips and just being very careful and cut the LEDs out. Now, the other method is, as I mentioned earlier, you can cover the LED with black electrical tape, and that way you won't void your warranty. The last method, which I think I'm gonna try, is using a soldering iron to heat up the contact patches, and basically for the solder to get warm enough that you can just pull the LED out without cutting it. So that way then you're still gonna leave the solder behind in the board, and in theory, if I had to warranty the card, I could literally resolder them back in. So that is the other alternative that I am throwing around in my head right now. So in the next shot, you're either going to see me cutting them off, or I have the soldering iron out and I'm heating up the back where they plug in here. So as you can see here and here, oh, let me move it down a bit so you can actually see what I'm pointing at. Here, I found my soldering iron, which I almost didn't find, and we were going to resort to cutting, but found my soldering iron. It's been heating up for a bit, so we are going to attempt to desolder this LED and this LED. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the card over. Should I flip the card over? I could do it from the top too, actually. So let's see here. I'm going to reposition myself so I can actually get in on it. Straighten this bad boy out. Oh, there is, okay. I'm gonna have to get a picture of this and overlay it, but there is a small surface mounted capacitor right beside the top LED. So we're gonna have to be very careful with that. And actually the other LED has the same. So, with that being said, we'll send. Let's do it on the back side actually. Oof. Now it would be better to do this with a desoldering iron. Okay, so using a soldering iron didn't work. More than likely, you need a proper desoldering iron, which will actually pull and suck out the solder and heat the spot. Usually I've been able to just heat it up and you could basically melt the solder that's in the joint, that's in the spot, and then the item would fall off the board. But in this case, it doesn't look like it's doing it, and also we have those really close capacitors I don't really want to mess with. So we're going to resort to cutting. So, to cut, pick your terminal and snip. As simple as that. So there's one LED gone. Here it is. And just to look at it again, make sure there's no, because there's still gonna be power running through this, so we need to make sure that they're not getting too close. And we're gonna do the bottom one. And I'm just gonna cut it as well. And there we go. Oh, and that LED hit the floor. Okay, well, this was a long-winded video just to cut two LEDs out of a sound card, but let's go stick the sound card back in and see if it works. All right, so the mod's done, and now, as we can see, there's no more red LEDs. Fairly easy. I would say probably the easiest method for 99% of people. Grab a pair of wire cutters, cut them off. If you're worried about voiding your warranty, then just cover them with electrical tape and that would work as well. I really wanted to do the solder method as I wanted them completely removed from the card. If ever in the event that I wanted to say change the color of them and solder in maybe let's say blue LEDs or purple LEDs that match similar to the color I was using, I could have done that. Maybe we'll revisit this topic later on down the road, and if I get a desoldering iron, then we can fully pull them out, clean out the holes, get some flux, and solder in some different LEDs if we really wanted to. But I like the fact that the card now has no LEDs on it with the blue accent lighting or purple or whatever I have going on at the time. And because the card is at the bottom of the case, it's very hard to see the red shroud. You know, it's not as standouty as the Noctua fans. So overall, worked out pretty good. Pretty easy mod you can complete in a few minutes just by pulling out the card. It took me probably 4 times as long while filming the process, but overall, it was a fairly easy mod. So if you guys did enjoy today's video and you found it useful, interesting, or whatever, just remember to thumbs up the video, smash the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video.